Good morning, students. Today we will start a new chapter, class 12, reproduction in flowering plants. There are several divisions of plants. Several means 5. And in that 5 division, one division is flowering plants. So, I just give you an idea about the divisions of plants. Plant has been divided into 5 divisions, has been categorized into 5 divisions. The first division is thallophyta, division of plants. The first division of plant is thallophyta. In this division, the plant body is not differentiated. That may be unicellular, that may be multicellular, but the multicellular structure is not differentiated. Filamentous structure is there. And in some form, parenchymatous form is also present, but body is not differentiated into stem, root and leaf. Such division is called thallophyta, in which we study about different types of algae, what we call commonly algae. So, the second division of plants, in which body is differentiated into a stem-like structure, root-like structure or leaf-like structure, but they are not true stem, true leaf or true roots. And in that division of life, plant life, the dominant phase is gametophytic phase. That means the haploid cells are present in the dominant phase of life and known as bryophyta. This is the second group of plants. And third group of plants, in which body is differentiated, root, stem and leaf are true in its origin, and vascular system evolved in this plant for the first time. They are first vascular plants. The evolution of vascular system is also known as stellar evolution, and such group of plant in which this appear for the first time are known as pteridophytes. From pteridophytes, a group of plants evolved in which reproduction, sexual reproduction occurs in the form of, results in the form of formation of seeds. So, those group of plants in which seeds nature evolved for the first time are known as gymnosperm. So, the fourth division of plant is gymnosperm. In gymnosperm, seeds was unprotected. There was no any covering or protected tissue around the seeds. It appeared on the megasporophyll naked, bare. So, and another group of plants evolved from gymnosperm, which is known as flowering plants and angiosperm, in which the reproductive structure is a flower. And in this group of plants, seeds are surrounded by ovary wall. which is the ovary, ripened ovary is known as fruit. So the fifth group is angiosperm. So in angiosperm, the reproductive structure is flower and known as flowering plants. So I think reproduction in flowering plant, what is our understanding about flowering plant among entire plant kingdom is clear. That group of plants in which reproductive structure is flower, in which sexual reproduction occurs via flower, are called flowering plants. It is also known as angiosperm. So there are more than 3 lakh species of angiosperm on earth. So there are more than 3 lakhs types of flowers on earth. There are diverse forms of flower. So the common feature of the flower is the mood point of our class. A flower, for sexual reproduction, it is necessary that 2 sexes are necessary. The presence of 2 sexes is a compulsion in case of sexual reproduction. So in a flower, both sexes may present, or in a flower it may be that only a single sex is present. In that case, if a plant contains only bisexual flower, then such flower plants are called monoecious plants. So on the basis of flower, plants are monoecious. So monoecious plant may be also of 2 types. They may contain bisexual flowers or unisexual flower of different both sexes on the same plant. And the other is dioecious. The dioecious plant contains flower of one sex on its body or its structure. That means monoecious can have bisexual flower. That means a flower in which both sexes are present, or the unisexual flower of both sexes on the same plant. That means unisexual flower of both sexes on same plant. Both sexes on same plant. And in case of dioecious, it bears unisexual flower of only one sex on one plant. Unisexual flower of any one sex on one plant. So a flower can be unisexual and bisexual. In monoecious, if the flower is bisexual, then the bisexual flower will make that plant monoecious. But if unisexual flowers are present, then the unisexual flower of both sexes will be present on a single plant. Then in such condition, that plant is also known as monoecious. Second example is, on one plant, only one type of unisexual flower will be present. So I think this topic is clear to all of you. Now we again come on the topic flower. A flower contains essential walls. Essential. The sexual walls, the sexes, male and female, are the essential walls of a flower. And there are two accessory walls also. The essential walls are male wall and the second is female wall. And the accessory wall of a flower may be known as calyx and corolla. Now, male word is also known as androecium. Androecium. And the female word is known as gynoecium. So, a complete flower will have two accessory word and two essential word. So, we will see a typical structure of a complete flower which contains all the four walls: calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Clear? So, there are four walls. The outer walls is made up of sepals, which is called calyx. So, this one is called, the outermost wall is called sepal. Generally it is green in color, sepal. This one, the second most word is called घेरा. वर्ड का मतलब होता है घेरा, पंक्ति, कतार. तो ये गोलाकार कॉन्सेंट्रिक रिंग्स में ये चार वॉल्स प्रेजेंट होते हैं. द आउटर वर्ल्ड, द आउटर सर्किल ऑफ अ फ्लावर इज मेड अप ऑफ सेपल्स एंड सेपल्स आर यूनाइटेडली नोन एज कैलिक्स. Then the second word is colorful petals. पंखुड़ी जिसको हम कहते हैं, petals. ये पत्तों जैसी आकृति है, छोटे पत्तों जैसी आकृति जो बहुत ही कोमल और कलरफुल होते हैं. That is called petals. And third word is male word. बाहर की तरफ से जो कतार, सर्कुलर कतार तीसरे नंबर पर है, जो कि इंडिविजुअल यूनिट स्टेमन से मिलकर बना हुआ है. Stamen contains a filament and an anther. They are combinedly known as anther. Stamen. And the walls formed by the stamen is called androecium. Androecium is the male wall of a flower. And the structure formed by a stigma, style, this one is style, and this is called ovary. ये तीनों, stigma, style and ovary, is combinedly known as carpel. C-A-R-P-E-L. I just omit all this so that the structure will be clear to all of you. So this one is carpel. Stigma, style and ovary are commonly known as carpel. Carpel may be one and many means 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I just show you a monocarpellary flower that contains a single carpel, so that the diagram will be clear to all of you. So it is centrally placed carpel, and the word of carpel, one or many, forms the female word and known as gynoecium. So the first word is made up of sepals and known as calyx. The second word is made up of petals and known as corolla. And the third word is made up of stamen and forms the male word known as androecium. Androecium. And the fourth word made up of carpel forms the female word and known as gynoecium. Fourth, gynoecium. Number 1, calyx. Number 2, corolla. Number 3, androecium. Number 4, gynoecium. Figure. Typical structure of a complete flower. Caption will be here. Typical structure of a complete flower. Okay, so a complete flower contains all the 4 walls, 2 essential and 2 accessory walls. Now we will discuss each word one by one. Okay, so I think the diagram is clear, and all these 4 walls are present over a base which is called thalamus or disc, floral disc. So this is thalamus, and thalamus is joined to the inflorescence by a stalk-like structure which is called pedicel. The flower which has a pedicel is called pedicellate flower. If pedicel is absent, then such flower is called sessile flower. So on the basis of pedicel, there are two types of flower, pedicellate and sessile. Clear? Now we focus upon calyx. So we write here calyx. I just omit so that we can describe it in detail. We focus here on calyx. Calyx is the outermost word. Calyx is the outermost word, is the outermost word, generally green in color. Generally green in color. Okay. Protect the flower in bud stage. The individual unit is called sepal. The individual unit is called sepal. Function: protect the flower in bud stage. Protect the flower in bud stage. So the sepal may be united. That means one sepal is joined with another, and such a structure or flower in which the sepals are united, fused with one another, are known as gamosepalous flower. So on the basis of sepals, there are two types of flower. On the basis of sepal. On the basis of sepal. Gamosepalous and polysepalous. Gamosepalous if the sepals are fused, and polysepalous if the sepals are free. If the sepals are many and free, they are known as polysepalous. Clear? Now we focus upon corolla. So you can write down, this is the second word from the outside, and generally it is bright and colorful. Bright and colorful. Bright, colorful. To attract the pollinators. During pollination, it helps in attracting the pollinators. Insects are attracted by bright colors. So, generally insect pollinated flowers have diverse have corolla, prominent corolla, most evolved corollas. So, corolla is made up of petals. Petals are bright, colorful to attract pollinators. So, corolla hai. Second word, individual unit is called petals. bright, colorful petals attract pollinators. Again, on the basis of corolla, if the petals are fused, such flower is called Petals. If the petals are many and free, then again they are same called Petals. So again, on the basis of corolla, the flower may be Petals, या Petals. Sometimes there is no differentiation between sepals and petals. They both look alike. Then such structures are known as individual units called tepals. When there is no differentiation between calyx and corolla, such structures are known as tepals. Okay? So, when there is no differentiation among calyx and corolla, there are two balls of same shape, size and color, then such individual structure is called tepals. So this was all about calyx and corolla. We now discuss about the male word. First, androecium, male word. The individual unit of male word is called a stamen, and a stamen is made up of two parts. The first part is filament or stalk, filament, and the second part is called anther. Okay? Filament joins anther with the floral base or floral wall. So a flower maybe have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 and more stamens. When the number goes beyond 10, we tell it infinity. Okay? We say it infinity. The number of stamens are infinite. So, how is it male word? It is male word because male gametes, pollen grains or microspores are produced inside anther. Inside anther, first of all, when we will see the anther, we will see two thecas, two divisions. Two separate units are united along longitudinal axis, and each theca has two lobes, which is called microsporangium. Each lobe contains one microsporangium. In this way, there are four lobes, and four lobes have four microsporangium longitudinal structure in which microspores are produced. That microspores are called pollen grains. So, we just described a stem androecium. Androecium is the male word in which the individual unit is called stamen. A stamen is made up of filament and anther, and each anther is dithecous, and each theca has two lobes, and in this way there are four lobes, and each lobe contains one microsporangia longitudinally, and so there are four microsporangia. And this microsporangium, when we will make the vertical section here, and observe it on the microscope, dissecting microscope, we will find there is two thecas, and each theca has two lobes in which two microsporangia is present, and each microsporangia is surrounded by 4 layers of tissues. So the cells inside microsporangia are known as sporogenous tissue, which initially divide mitotically to increase their number and then goes for meiotic division, in which pollen grains are produced, which are gametophytic stage. And inside that gametophyte body, male gamete or male nuclei are produced, which participate in fertilization in female reproductive structure. That will be transferred, then the fertilization will occur. So, anther is a dithecous. Anther is dithecous, 4-lobed structure. 4-lobed structure, which contains generally 4 microsporangia. Generally, it contains 4 microsporangia. Microsporangium is made up of a sporogenous tissue in which cells are called pollen spore mother cell or microspore mother cell, which go for meiotic division and produces pollen grain. So, male gametophyte develops inside anther. We can write down male gametophyte develops inside microsporangia inside anther. Okay, so I think the male word, its individual unit and its part is clear to all of you. Why we say it male word? Because the spores which are produced here are very small in size and will be transferred to the female structure, which is motile, which remain at their place, and the gamete which travels are called male gamete, so that the pollen grain which will be produced will be transferred to the female structure, which is here. If it is transferred to the same flower, within the flower the transfer occurs, then such pollination is called self-pollination. And if it is transferred to other flowers on the same plant or on another plant, then such pollination is called cross-pollination. So, I think androecium is clear to all of you. What is androecium? Androecium is the male word. It is made up of a stamen. The stamen contains anther. Anther is a dithecous structure in which each theca contains 2 lobes. Each lobes have a sporangium. A sporangium arises from a sporogenous tissue, which first divide mitotically to increase their number. Then all these sporogenous cells goes for meiotic division to produce haploid gamete, which is called pollen grains. And these pollen grains are male gametophytic structure in a flower. Inside pollen grains, male nuclei appears, which is the male gamete and which participates in the fertilization process. through a mechanism which we will discuss later. So this is the male word of a flower. Now we will discuss the female word of a flower. So that we rub all the things which are not necessary here on the board. But before that, these anthers may be 2, 3 in number, 4 in number, and maybe 6. There may be 2 groups in 6, one of 4 and the other of 2. And there may be the groups of many stamens. If there is a single group of stamens, all united by their filament, then such a structure is called monadelphous. If there are 2 groups, they are united in 2 groups, then it is called didelphous. If there is no grouping, then it is called ordelphous. Ordelphous, monadelphous, didelphous, tridelphous. Okay? So, that is, if they are separated, they are not grouped together, then it is ordelphous. If they are grouped together in a single group, they are monadelphous, as it is in hibiscus rosea. They are grouped together in a single group. If 4s are free, then it is called ordelphous, just like gamocephalus and polycephalus. Clear? So, I think it is clear that what is ordelphous? Ordelphous, monadelphous, stamen, didelphous, stamen. It is clear to all of you. Now, we will discuss the female word of a flower. The female word is called gynoecium. 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 The female word is made up of carpel, and a carpel has 3 units. Opening, known as stigma. Passage, called style, and ovary. Generally, sometimes pistil is also used interchangeably for carpel, but carpel and pistils are somehow different from one another. There is little bit of difference, but difference lies. How that is different? We count carpel by the number of style, whereas we count pistil by the number of ovaries. So this is the basic difference. Pistil is female reproductive part, organ, in which fertilization occurs. But carpel is a massive structure which contains ovary as well as a style and a stigma, and is responsible for siphonogamy, fertilization, formation of seeds. Okay? So, carpel is a bigger structure and have a bigger role, whereas pistil is confined as a female reproductive structure, as it is ovary, it counts ovary only. So, there may be that 2 ovaries here in this condition. There are 2 carpels, and you can see here there are two carpels. And two carpels, as there are two styles and there are two pistils too. But if that will be fused, there is a compound pistil, single pistil, but the number of carpel is 3. So it is a monocarpellary flower, it is bicarpellary flower. This one is tricarpellary flower, but the pistil is compound pistil. Okay. Pistil may have lobes, as you will see it in lady's finger okra. There are lobes in the ovary. In tomato there is false septum. So that is the feature of pistil. So this is the basic difference between the term carpel and pistil. Now, a carpel has 3 parts. A carpel has 3 parts: stigma, style, and ovary. Ovary contains megasporangium. As the male world, a stamen contains anther in which there are microsporangium which develops from microsporanginous tissue. Here once again the ovary contains ovule which is megasporangium in which megaspores arises. Generally in flowering plant, one ovule gives rise to one megaspore and one megaspore gives rise to one embryo sac. The gametophytic generation, the female gametophytic generation is called embryo sac, and it arises from either from one megaspore, then it is called monosporic embryo sac. If it arises from 2 megaspores, then it is called bisporic embryo sac. So, ovule contains, gynosium is the female word which is made up of carpel. A carpel has 3 parts. A stigma is the opening of the carpel. A style is the passage through which siphonogamy occurs. That means the formation of tube, pollen tube occurs. And then ovary. Ovary is a female reproductive structure which surrounds or which protects protective wall over megasporangium, the ovule. Ovary is a protective wall around megasporangium or ovule. Ovule, the arrangement of ovule, there may be one or more ovule. The arrangement of ovule inside ovary is called placentation. The arrangement of ovule inside ovary is called placentation. Okay. Now, the placentation may be XII. That means there is an axis and along which the ovules are joined. That is called XII placentation. If when you will cut the ovary, we will make the section of ovary and observe it over the dissecting microscope, then we can get the structure or placentation inside ovary. that may be XII. That means if you will make the section, there is a central point, and from that center, if lobes may be present, then each lobe contains 2 ovules towards the axis. Then such arrangement of ovules around the axis is called XII. In some there may be arrangement towards the periphery. Then such arrangement is called parietal presentation. So there are many types of presentation. That may be axial presentation as it is here on the board, parietal presentation, basal presentation, free central presentation. So such type of arrangement are called presentation. Ovules, the arrangement of ovule inside ovary is called presentation. Now we will see the structure, how ovules are attached and what is the structure of ovule. You can see here ovule is attached by a stalk-like structure which is called funicle. So we will see it. The stalk-like structure which joins ovule with the ovary is called funicle. These are 2 layers of integument. Integument. Okay. So, due to the presence of 2 layers of integument, angiosperms are also known as bitechnic. Whereas in gymnosperm, there is only a single layer of integument in ovule. That's why gymnosperm are called unitechnic. So, this is the basic difference between gymnosperm and angiosperm. Gymnosperms are unitechnic, whereas angiosperms are bitechnic. That means 2 layers of integument. These 2 integuments is the future seed coat or testa. Now, the zone where funicle is attached to the ovule are called hilum. And the cells or the tissue inside integument is called nucellus. 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 Nucellus is the nutritive tissue for the development of embryo sac. The developing embryo sac will get nourishment, or the megaspores will get nourishment from this tissue which is called nucellus. One of the cell in the nucellus behave as megaspore mother cell and goes for meiotic division and produces 4 megaspores. If one megaspore participates in the formation of embryo sac, then it is called monosporic embryo sac. If 2 are involved, then it is called bisporic. And if all the 4s are involved in the formation of embryo sac, then it is called tetrasporic embryo sac. So we will see one by one the development of male gametophyte and female gametophyte in our next class. This class was focused upon the flower or floral and floral walls. So I just once again conclude the entire topic that a complete flower have two essential walls and two accessory walls. Calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium are four walls of a flower. Calyx is the first and outermost accessory walls which protect the flower in bud stage, and the individual unit of calyx is known as sepals. On the basis of sepals, the flower may be gamosepalous and polysepalous. Again, the second layer is corolla. Corolla is bright colored layer, a wall of a flower. It helps in pollination. The bright color attracts the pollinators. So, apart from making the flower beautiful by colors, by bright colors, its main role is to attract pollinators. And the individual unit is called petals. Petals may be united or fused. In such condition, the flower is called gamopetalous. And if they are greater in number and are free from one another, then it is called polypetalous. Now, if sepals and petals are same, there is no differentiation between sepals and petals, then such structures are not known as tepals. Then we come over the third word from outside and second from inside, which is androecium, and the male word of a flower. This word is made up of individual unit called stamen. A stamen contains two parts, anther and the filament. Anther is a structure which is diathecous. That means they are made up of two different unit or thecas, and each theca has two lobes, and each lobe has some central cells which are sporogenous cells, which develops it into microsporangia by separating it from parent cell. And so inside an anther there are four microsporangia that contains a sporogenous cell. All these cells goes for meiotic division and form pollen grains, which is the male gametophyte of the flower. So we will see the development of male gametophyte in detail in our next class. Then we come over gynoecium. This is the female wall and it is made up of carpel. There are some basic differences between carpel and pistil which we have discussed. Carpel has three parts: stigma, style and ovary. A stigma is the opening of carpel, a style is the passage for the development or growth of pollen tube, and ovary is the female part, female structure, which contains megasporangium. As the anther contains microsporangium, ovary contains megasporangium, and ovary is the protective wall around ovule or the megasporangium. The structure of ovule we have seen, it is surrounded by two layers of integument, and the inside cells are known as nucellus, and in that nucellus any one cell acts as megaspore mother cell and form embryo sac. The formation of embryo sac is the formation of female gametophyte, which we will discuss after the discussion of male gametophyte. We will discuss female gametophyte development. So I think all the floral walls and its functions are clear to all of you. There should be not any suspicion, and if you have not understood anything, then please contact me on my number which you have. So till the next class, stay at home, stay safe. Bye.